What do science and literature have in common? Well, one thing, they both employ verbal language in visual arrangements. My project analyzes the printing history of proto-scientific journal, The Philosophical Transactions, and uses that analysis to write a history of the visual features of 18th century literature. I suspect that in understanding language history and printing innovations in the past, we can better understand knowledge, data, and meaning now. Began in 1665, the Philosophical Transactions records the letters, observations, and narratives presented verbally at the meetings of the Royal Society of London. This Royal Society is generally regarded as the first scientific body, but the idea of expertise in science hadn't really developed, and a more kind of general natural philosophy held sway. It is no wonder, then, that the members included poets and generalist bureaucrats, along with expert astronomers. So, when the Philosophical Transactions began to be printed, they provided a visual means for recording the evidence presented verbally at these meetings. Yet, literature has some of these same visual features. Let us consider Jonathan Swift's Gulliver's Travels. In it, Lemuel Gulliver travels to the fictional Legato Academy, where he witnesses researchers working on the machine that you can see in the slide behind me. A little bit out of focus, but there. The professor in charge explains that his students work 6 hours a day turning the cranks, which you can see on the side of the machine, rotating blocks, moving words in their language into broken sentences, which are duly recorded in large volumes. The professor fully expects that these large volumes full of broken sentences will give a complete body of all arts and knowledges in enough time. The only thing he wants from you is, well, your money. The joke here is aimed squarely at someone like Bishop Wilkins, who in the late 17th century developed a writing system based on scribbles that look much like this. And his intent was to purify language. In their enthusiasm, the Royal Society paid printer Joseph Moxon to cut the metal type so that they can, in fact, print in scribbles. Unsurprisingly, this wasn't really adopted by really anyone at all. And in retrospect, it must have looked quite silly to spend so much money on such a strange language. The absurdity of the project, of course, would be very obvious in 1727 when people were reading Swift's Gulliver's Travels. The Philosophical Transaction spans 6 centuries and has a relatively similar purpose the whole time. So in understanding the printings and reprintings of this particular journal, this particular journal, we can begin to see the history of visual teachers in science and how their roles continue in other places. Thank you.